Hello, everyone, and welcome again to Elevating Your Life. Oh, happy sunshine day. Boy, we're getting into the warm weather and so much going on. And I'm so happy to share with you today an energy sister. We have with us Patricia Herlevi. She is a certified Reiki master, animal communicator, sound therapist, spiritual medium, and astrologer. She became interested in metaphysical field during the 1980s while attending a university in Washington State. She first started working as an astrologer in 2012 and has branched out to include other healing modalities and metaphysical tools in her daily practice and her work with clients. She also has a background in the fine and performing arts. She is certified as an animal communicator and Reiki master, and she did this after adopting a German short-haired pointer that she was fostering for her parents. So I just want to say welcome so much to the show. We're so happy to have you.
Oh, just one correction. He was adopted by somebody else. I
Okay.
fostered him and then he was adopted.
Awesome.
I
Oh,
wish I had adopted him. He's a great dog.
yes. Oh my gosh. There's a dog's love is it's beyond words wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah.
We love them. We love them. The animal foster and Reiki center that I'm putting together is called Jackie's Haven. And it's on the property, 8 acres where I grew up in Centralia, Washington.
Okay.
And I'm excited to get that going. Fostering animals is wonderful. Thank you for doing that. Oh my gosh, Patricia. And tell us, a little more of your background. What got you into doing the Reiki and your astrology and all that's opened up for you? Please share that with us.
Okay. Well, it actually started in the 1980s, and I had a housemate in Bellingham, Washington, who showed me Shirley MacLaine's books. And at the time, this is Out on a Limb and all the rest of the books, they were really controversial. And she was introducing reincarnation to me. And I had been raised Lutheran. So it made me nervous. Like I didn't want to believe that there could be reincarnation, just because of my more conservative upbringing. And then later, like I think it was a year later, I met a student who was studying shamanism. And she was pretty wild. She was an Aquarius woman, and she was into things that I had never heard of before, and like creative visualization and shamanism. And so that was really what sparked me to go on a metaphysical path. I'd always been into astrology, but I didn't really know anything about it. I just thought it was fascinating that there were 12 zodiac signs. And I think really, Western Washington University it's what do you call, like a liberal arts college? I mean, it has other humanities and science and other things. But when I went there, it was sort of a lot of the hippie culture was still in Bellingham. And so it was a very open place as far as people's beliefs and, the different kind of spiritual practices. And I think that being immersed in that environment and then moving to Seattle after that, I think that really, I wanted to know what else was going on beyond the mundane, what UFOs and astrology and how do we explain our lives. And so that was kind of how I got into metaphysics. Plus I knew a lot of card readers and astrologers, and I thought that I put them all up on a pedestal, like, oh my God, cool.
Yes. It's all so fascinating and enlightening. I just was returned from Sedona, Arizona, from a shamanism retreat, headed off by Alberto Vallaldo, who I've always been a fan of. And I received my shamanism training years ago in Sedona. And what is so wonderful is ancient medicine and science can come together and work together, to help us and aid us and guide us in our health, our emotions, and all of that is so wonderful. And you do a lot of different things. I know you have a YouTube, Share some of the different things you do.
Yeah, I got into YouTube originally. It wasn't metaphysical. I was just making these short videos with my camera, and I was in Bellingham. Bellingham's a very beautiful city for people who have never been there. And so I was just making these funny videos and a lot of things on crows and just different things. And so I did this little YouTube channel. And then I was in between homes and I had already started an astrology practice. So I was trying to keep my blog going, and I decided that I was going to do a YouTube channel for astrology. And so that was probably 2014, 2015. A lot of those videos have been removed, because they weren't very good. And then I just started building my channel over time, and I was amassing these subscribers. I don't know what happened in recent years where, there's a lot of subscribers, but they don't visit the YouTube videos as much as they used to. And then I tried doing a card reading channel, and I've done a lot of stuff with music research, metaphysics, mostly blogging. And then I just started doing videos, and I wanted to always do radio, kind of like you're doing. And so making the YouTube videos was sort of like doing radio, because I'd have all this information and I'd break it down, and then I'd make it like sometimes they are podcasts, and then I just put pictures on it and make it a video.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just love recording information and sharing information, and it just happens to be metaphysical information. And the fact that there's so many people out there that are hungry for this information makes it more exciting, because I know when a lot of us started out, back in the 80s, 70s, or whenever it was, there wasn't quite the movement that there is now. I mean, thanks to social media, it's much bigger than in the past. I mean, you used to have to go to remember those big spiritual conferences if you wanted to meet anybody that was into or in Seattle, East West Books, but you had to go to like a hub in person. There wasn't the online. I mean, we didn't have online. It didn't exist yet. So there were different ways that you would meet people. It would be a spiritual book club type thing. Remember Listening Prophecy or something like that. Groups of people would get together and discuss the chapters. So that was kind of the way. I mean, I think a lot of the young people on YouTube don't even realize how spirituality used to be, like how people were able to learn about it. And then you had to take all of those workshops that were usually in a bookstore or a spiritual conference, things like that. That was how we used to get our information. And you had to hire a card reader. There were no free card readings online. There were no, if you wanted to learn about astrology, you read books or you studied with an astrologer. But that was how it used to be.
Yes.
Now there's so much information. You have to be really careful though, because not all of it is, accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. What, you read and see, you can, okay, how do I feel about this? Does that resonate?
Mhm.
And now,
Right.
yes, that's my belief. And I am just so happy that Reiki is becoming more and more accepted and known.
Mhm.
I learned Reiki 16 years ago for love of a pet, and it helped her so much. And it's just been beyond words, life-changing. And it's so wonderful to see that awareness is growing, and Reiki is given in hospitals now, and
Yeah.
and it can go with a medical treatment.
Mhm.
It's so wonderful with that. So how has it been life-changing for you learning
Oh.
this modality of Reiki?
I don't even know where to start with that. I mean, I actually studied online, and some people don't realize you can actually learn that way. And I was just such an avid student of it. Like I took all of this instructor's classes. I went to I was still in Washington State, so I went through this library system. I got every single book they had on Reiki. This is during the lockdowns. I was just looking, on the site for like every book I could get. I even ordered some books, I bought some books, and my life was just changing dramatically. And it's really even hard to explain because the other people outside of you don't see it, because it's all like inner things that change, like your dietary, the foods you eat change, the way you dress changes. It's certain people are cut out of your life because you just can't be around that energy anymore. And then new people come into your life, and and then it's just all the things you can do with Reiki, like all the applications for Reiki and all, and all the different systems of Reiki. Although I do
it's
Reiki.
proven what Reiki does for our immune system.
Yeah.
And there's nothing like a hands-on in-person Reiki attunement.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for that.
Yes, that is the ultimate. It's amazing. Yeah. And
I would almost go study it again just to get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It is just so powerful. And it's so wonderful that it's scientific as well. It's not woo-woo. It's proven scientifically what Reiki's done. Studies on long distance Reiki and Reiki or a surgery. And there's I forget the name of the machine, but a machine that tests the energy cycles in your hand. And when Reiki's activated in your palm, it's like 800 times more. It's all so fascinating and fun.
No, I love it. I mean, it's simple to learn. Again, it's applicable wherever you go. You could be on an airplane and you're feeling nervous. You do Reiki on yourself.
Yeah.
On your family members, your pets. I think a lot of people went into animal Reiki because of their pets.
Yes.
And that's how I got into it. It was the foster dog, which is really the family dog. And then he became the foster dog, and then he was adopted outside of the family. But he was sick and I wanted to know Reiki, and I didn't know Reiki. And then it was after he was gone when I learned it. And I think I had a dream about him after that. Or
it's so powerful. And the animals just, boy, they feel it.
Well, they love it.
Years ago, I was on a mission trip in Africa, and I gave Reiki to a giraffe. And he was literally following me around. On my property, I've given Reiki to the deer in the yard, and seeing deer just lay down. I mean, it's amazing how they feel it and they're so open to it. It's
the deer are funny though. They'll kind of like look around like
oh my goodness. Oh, so what are you at this time? What would you say? What are the passions you're following that you really want to share with everyone?
Well, the passion I have right now is helping pet owners, because I just doing my own research and also the animal communication that I've done and talking to different pet owners. A lot of the times the behavioral issues are because of our behaviors. If we're nervous, if we're anxious, if we're like, I even had a cat, like one communication session where the cat was biting her person on the feet at night. And it turned out that the cat was upset because the person would have a hard time making a decision, and she would go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And it drove the cat crazy. So the cat started biting her. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that was kind of an indication early on, like, oh, I wonder if it's our behaviors. I mean, it's obvious now, but it wasn't obvious then. I wonder if our behaviors that we're not even consciously aware of are causing them to act out in behaviors that are unwanted to us. And then we put it all on them. Like we just projected they're the problem. And sadly, a lot of these animals end up in shelters because the people can no longer handle the animal behavior issues. And this happens a lot with, I mean, both cats and dogs, and probably rabbits. Rabbits end up in shelters too. And a lot of animals do, because, one, we need to research. I mean, you're going to bring an animal into your house. You definitely need to research everything that animal's going to need, and what, when it's a different development.
Yeah.
If it's a baby animal, what behaviors it's going to have at different ages. And if you don't know how to train the animal yourself, then you really do need to hire somebody. I mean, that's not something you want to not spend money on. And then the animal communicator can come in and bring, the tension, what the animal's going through. Like, why is the animal doing this? And a lot of times it's not obvious. And that's the beauty of an animal communicator, is they have so much love for animals, and the animals can feel that love.
Yes.
They'll
Yes.
open up, like and they want their people to know, like they're not hiding any secrets. Maybe cats are, but dogs are such open books that,
Yes.
they want their people to know, because they're so loyal. They're kind of like passive aggressive, like a passive aggressive person, where they want to say what's going on that's bothering them, but they're trying to please because they know that that person's going to feed them, and they don't want to upset that person because they want to be fed, and they want to get their needs met. So cats will just act out. Dogs, they'll act out, but it's kind of passive aggressive because they're afraid to be direct, to say, hey, I don't feel well, or hey, I don't like it when you do that. I don't like it when you use that prompt on your computer. I don't like it when you have the TV on loud, or whatever it is. And then they'll get really sort of agitated, and then they'll start, I don't know, chewing on something or digging, or, all these behaviors that we don't like in them.
Mm-hmm.
And
would you say our communication is very important? Such as, if we say to a dog, don't bark, the dog's going to hear bark.
Yeah, exactly.
That's giving the message to bark.
No, barking means barking.
People don't realize that. There's, how we talk to the animals is so important too. The message.
And what we're seeing in our third eye. So if we got a little movie playing in our head about how annoying it is when the dog digs, so we see the dog digging in our mind. So the movie in our head is the dog digging. So the dog picks up the movie of him digging. It's like, oh, she wants me to dig.
You want me to dig?
Oh, you want me to go bark? I thought you told me not to, but since you're like, so if being congruent, like if we have one image in our head, and I guess this is where we become mindful, right? So if we don't want the dog to dig, then we have to visualize the dog doing the behavior that we want, or the cat doing the behavior that we want. If we're telling them not to do something, and in our mind, we're actually seeing the image of them doing it, and that's what's agitating us, then they're picking up, they see the movie, and they're thinking, oh, well, if I want approval, then I have to go do that behavior that, the chewing or whatever, which must be confusing to them in a way, because they've been trained not to do that.
Yeah. And then, there is just
the
love of a dog. It's beyond words. Wonderful. Oh my gosh. What? There's nothing like it. The love of a dog. They love us with all their hearts. We are so lucky and blessed when we have loved. I know I'd like to have you share a little bit. I know you do sound therapy. And it's so wonderful. Sound therapy is so great. We love it. Share a little bit with the audience about that and what sound therapy can do for us.
Oh, wow. Sound therapy. And if you combine sound therapy with Reiki, you've got a really beautiful marriage right there.
Yes.
Working with frequencies. I always do that. In fact, my morning self Reiki has sound therapy. I mainly use tuning forks because I fell in love with tuning forks when I was going to a student acupuncture clinic that was in Seattle. And there was a woman named Marjorie DeMonk. She's no longer alive. Shaman, she brought the tuning forks in. She came up with her own set of tuning forks, and she brought them into the acupuncture clinic, and she taught the students and also the other teachers there how to use the tuning forks. And so they were using, with the acupuncture, they were using the tuning forks on the different meridians. And I remember having it done. The first time I didn't like it. Like I thought, oh, this is weird. I don't like it. And then eventually I started really liking it and finding it relaxing. And then I wanted to buy tuning forks when I was in Bellingham, but they were really expensive. And so I just kind of put it sort of in my vision board in my mind, like someday I'm going to buy some tuning forks. So then with the stimulus money we all got, I said, you know what, I am going to buy tuning forks. And so I just bought different sets of tuning forks and started working with them. And I'd go outside and test them in nature. Like I'd go where the tree where the birds were, and I'd try out different forks, and I'd watch like how the birds would respond to them. They really like 528 hertz. The bees like it a little too much. I had the 528 hertz fork, and I was in the yard by the plants where the bees were, and they started coming around me and flying around me. And I was thinking, oh, I'm gonna get stung, but I didn't get stung. They've liked that 528 hertz. It's also good for plant growth. And so I was using the solfeggios at first. Those were my favorite. They're still my favorite. And then I bought the planetary ones that combine that with astrology. And there's just something about all the frequencies and all the tones and how they can different parts of your body. So if you're wanting to heal your bones,
Goes
there's a
right through us. Myself,
And it's-
I'm a crystal bowl fan. I love my crystal bowls. And one time I had a gentleman who goes across the country doing sound baths with the crystal bowls. And he came to see me, and he had a machine, and we actually were able to hook it up to a plant and play a bowl, and it showed the reaction of the plant taking it in. I mean, it's so fascinating. The forks, the bowls, sound, healing therapy, what it does for our body. It's really wonderful to look into and discover that. And oh, isn't it great? I call it Reiki soup, all the things we can mix in,
crystals,
sound, crystals, oils, shamanism,
Native American flute. Yeah, I mean, drumming.
Yes.
Yeah, shamanism and Reiki go well together too. I mean, I've met a lot of people that combine that as well. I mean, I haven't met them in person. I've mainly met them online. It's so creative with Reiki. You could be a painter and use Reiki for painting. You could use it for creating music. You can use it for, everything. It's just, there's nothing you can't do with Reiki. You can bless your food with Reiki before you eat it.
It's just so fantastic. So fantastic. And it's so wonderful that this information and using it is just spreading. The more Reiki in the world, the better. It's just so
Yeah, no, I agree. And I really, Master Sugi is like one of my, I don't say mentors. I was going to say heroes, but he's one of my mentors because I channeled him a couple times, and both times I channeled him, his energy is just, it's so gentle. I mean, it's what you would expect, the Japanese, but there's just, if you ask him, like if you're doing Reiki on yourself, you can ask him to actually come and do Reiki on you. And you can feel his energy. It's amazing. You almost feel like this second set of hands on you.
Yeah.
And it's so powerful. It's like, wow. I mean, I can't even imagine what it would have been like to have been, one of his students during the time that he was alive.
Yeah.
He was so dedicated to teaching as many people, and he wanted to heal, I guess, everybody in the world, but starting with Japan. But he ended up, I don't know, was it a stroke that he died of, or maybe it was a heart?
He
burnt out.
So many people. He taught. He gave Reiki to, disaster. He gave Reiki for free.
Earthquake, Japan,
disaster victims. Sharing Reiki, it's love and compassion, and love is what Reiki is, love and healing. And he really is a gift to us.
Yeah, I guess we would probably be channeling the Holy Spirit if it, or we'd be doing something of the energetic realm because of the times we live in. But I'm thankful for Reiki because there just isn't anything like it.
Yeah, I totally agree. When people ask me, well, really, it's beyond words. It is so wonderful. You see so much over the years.
That's why so many people are dedicated to it.
I love teaching it. Yes, it's just amazing.
And all the YouTube channels that, the Reiki practitioners with the YouTube channels, and you can actually feel that. Like if you're sitting there still and closing your eyes and, and you can absorb that through the computer, even though they made that video, say, years ago. And, it's just been recorded, and that energy is still there. And so if you're wanting to do prosperity or peace or whatever it is, and you listen to either Reiki music or the person, doing the hands on the, it works. It's amazing. And you think reality can do that.
Yeah. It's so wonderful. Well, we just have a couple minutes left in the show. Please share your website information.
Okay.
What last message you'd like to give everyone today?
All right. So my website is metaphysics, the number 4, everydayliving.com. I'm also on petworks.com for the animal communication, animal Reiki. I mainly work with animals, but when I work with animals, the human is also getting the Reiki at the same time, if they want it, like if they choose. And if a whole family wants to have the Reiki, because when you're working on the animal, you want to work on the whole group, you want to work on the house, so that everybody's in sync, that everybody's receiving that calmness, that peace, and that peace that comes with Reiki. Because then the animal is going to have a support system. They're not just going to get that one-time Reiki, and then everybody in the household is going to be, at a different level or different frequency. So if you do everybody at once, it actually supports the animal if the animal's healing. And it also, because we're all connected, we're so connected to our pets. I don't think people realize how connected they are to their pets. That's why it's so hard when the animal dies, because I wouldn't say cords attached. I wouldn't say that, because I don't like that image, but our energies are intertwined with each other. And it's almost like we're fated to be together. So animals choose us. And if we're open and we're mindful, then we learn from them. And that's the greatest gift they give us, is all the things that we learn from them. And we don't always learn it in the pleasant way. Sometimes we learn it because of a behavior that they're doing that's reflecting a behavior that we're doing that we need to change. And so there's that growth and that evolution that happens because of that animal. I know I'm much calmer today than I was when I was first fostering Sabaka. I was a nervous wreck. And then after meeting him, he's a Taurus dog, it's like very, very good grounding energy. After knowing him and being sparked and inspired by him, I went on to learn animal communication and Reiki and even sound therapy, because I thought, well, I want to help animals. So, that was the passion to do that.
And it's just so beautiful that even when we lose them physically, they're still with us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. And nothing like it. Nothing like it. Oh,
They'll still boss us around. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. That love is forever, and it's really a gift. Well, thank you for all you do for so many and helping everyone. I really appreciate it, Patricia.
Thanks for the interview. I appreciate that.
Together, we're just sharing the information and the positive energy. And I'm so grateful to my audiences and everyone that touches and, is part of this show. I'm really grateful. Thank you so much for being on the show, Patricia. Love, hugs, and blessings. And everyone out there, love, hugs, and blessings. Have a fantastic day. I am grateful to have you be a part of this.